away of these war games between China and Russia as well as US, Mr. Ulf, recently there is a list of names that comes out full of analysts and politicians whom they have a different idea of backing up Ukraine with weapons and funding, such as those speakers of the Schiller Institute, as it is shown, looking for a better solution beyond war in Ukraine. These names are considered to Ukraine government as Russian propaganda agents, declaring them to information terrorists and threatening legal and other action as war criminals. Likewise, Helga Ziep-Larouche, founder of the Schiller Institute, and the Danish parliamentarian Marie Karuk, and so on, and others considered as promoters of Russian narratives. What are you saying about this? And are you one of those named people to be Russian agents, since you are a member of the Schiller Institute?
Yes, I am on this hit list that the Ukraine government has put together about opposition people who are not following the narrative the Ukraine government likes, or actually it is the Western NATO forces narrative. And so out of these 72 people on this list, 40 are connected to the Schiller Institute either directly or participants in conference where we discussed peace developments and peace proposals for the Ukraine conflict. And this was so much detested by the government of Ukraine, so they put us on this list as agents and to be put on called information terrorists, and to, if possible, be charged as war criminals. So this was a very strong attack against freedom of speech of our people, and it was included in this list many professionals, professors and scholars and academics and politicians, and they are definitely not a part of any such campaign, but they try to raise the issues that is important for the world to come out of this crisis. Helga Ziep-Larouche has proposed very much a new architecture for peace and development for the world, where we would find cooperation and development as a kind of basis for cooperation and peace. So this is something we will have in a new conference coming up in the 10th and 11th of September, and we will continue with this. What is important is that the outrage and protests against this list was so strong that the Ukraine government had to withdraw the list. So now it is closed. It's not there anymore. They have taken it away from their homepage. So now we are not on this hit list anymore. So it shows that it is possible to defend the human rights of free speech. And even though this was supported by the US State Department and the British Foreign Office, this institution who organized these meetings where they published this list. So it is actually an Anglo-American policy to try to get at opposition to their policies with the help of Ukraine. And now they had to withdraw, so we can go forward now with proposals for peace and development for Ukraine instead of this kind of just trying to silence the oppositions, what they try to do.
Quite understood. Mr. Simons, you are an expert in crisis management, communications, media, and armed conflict. So what is your comment on this? Is anyone against or even neutral over the Ukraine government in this war is considered as war criminal and the Russian narrative promoter?
Well, I mean, this brings to my mind a couple of points. First of all, I mean, it's utterly Orwellian doublespeak language, where people who are taking moderate or reasonable positions are named as being radical, and those who are proposing radical and violence are proposed as being reasonable. I would also liken this, I mean, it's once, I mean, I think it was Joseph Goebbels once said that the best strategy of defense was to shout and accuse your enemy that of which you are yourself guilty. So, I mean, there is no place for it if we talk about, if the EU is actually to hold to their fundamental values and norms which they preach to the rest of the world, they should have been much more active and vocal against such a rather heinous act of intimidation and character assassination.
Coming to you, Mr. Valentin, what are you saying about this, and what is your interpretation on the efforts made by the Schiller Institute? And as Mr. Olf said, this is an Anglo-American policy.
Maybe many of the participants will not like my view on this, but I think it's normal. Well, normal during the war, such kind of behavior. If you are not with us, you are against us. This is one of the slogans which is used. And you remember this saying, à la guerre comme à la guerre, at war as at war. So there are two clear alliances in the contemporary world, and the Ukraine is the battlefield among these two alliances. One, alliance of more than 40 nations, NATO and its allies, and on another side, Russia with its only ally, Belarus. Who are the rest? The rest may be tacitly supporting one side or another side, or try to be neutral, to be above this and care about human rights. But then each of these warring alliances will not be happy with this. So now we have this case when there are positions of China, of India, of Vietnam, and I suppose of Schiller Institute as well in this line, who try to propose some third way, and they meet angry reaction on one side or another side. What to do? Nothing can be done at this point when there is a real war on the territory in Ukraine, and there is war of ideas and of mass media. You know, Russia is fighting against agents, so-called agents of the West in their own press. They call them foreign agents. And in America, in many Western countries, Russian mass media is prohibited. There is no Russia Today and so on. It's normal from the positions of the governments. On one side, government, and on another side, we cannot do much on this. So my appeal is that people who are ready to think and who have spiritual power, they have to get united and not to be attached to something one-sided. They have to propose the solution for the war. Invasion is an act of aggression. It has to be stopped. But there must be arrangements for security in Europe and in the world. There must be fair solutions for international relations problems.